What's poppin' everyone? Saberwolf94 with sets from past formats, 4th generation style, and we're gonna do Platinum today. Yes, the very first of the Platinum sets. You can call this Platinum base set if you want to. 4th generation set, but in that sort of Platinum category. This is still DP, but it's also Platinum. Uh, This first set, it honestly is the strongest, is the best one out of all the SP sets, I believe. Uh, all four SP sets had a lot of significant cards, but with this being what started it all and having the core SP engine, I think is the most important one. So yeah, this was the first set that brought SPs into the game, and what SP Pokemon are, if you guys don't know, they were owner's Pokemon. Like, for example, let us look at a Pokemon here that was actually very good. So, Palkia. So, as you guys can see, you have a little Cyrus face here, and it says SP. SP stands for special, I believe, and I guess they would be special if they belong to owners, I suppose. And they have a little symbol here like Palkia G for Team Galactic. There was also the G for gym leaders. There was the 4 for Elite Four, and then C for Champion, which was Cynthia. These were SP Pokemon. They were all basic Pokemon, and well, they were all basic Pokemon. They had a couple level X's, but they were basic Pokemon with no exception. So when you look at this guy, he doesn't seem that amazing. You know, 2 water energy, does 20, switch it with one of your guys, and then Pearl Breath, 50 damage for 3, and you do 10 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Not bad. But what really made these guys amazing was the SP engine, like I've said. It was these cards right here. Indeed. So we got Cyrus's Conspiracy, then there is Team Galactic's Invention, Energy Gain, Power Spray, Poker Turn, and there's a couple of others in Rising Rivals and what have you, like the SP Radar. So Energy Gain, if you attach this to an SP Pokemon, the attack cost of that Pokemon is 1 colorless less. So that 3 for 50 Palkia attack, it would be 2 for 50, and it does 10 to everybody on the bench. And that is a night and day difference. That really makes it much better. And that Pokemon was very good, well, with the Lv.X, but that was also like attack you normally would use. So that's the first card. The other thing they had that made him so good was Poker Turn. So this is basically return one of your Pokemon as PNL cards attached to your hand. This is basically a scoop up with no cost. And you understand how good that is. You would take a bunch of damage. If they didn't knock you out in one hit, you would just return the Pokemon and all cards back to your hand. And it's actually like a max potion, if you can relate with that from today's metagame. And then we got Power Spray. This was another very big card. This is basically like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Hand trap. It's the best way I can describe it. If you play Yu-Gi-Oh! You play this card during your opponent's turn from your hand. And if you have like 3 SP, you need to have at least 3 Pokemon SP on the field. You play this when your opponent uses a Poke Power, and it's like they play the Poke Power but didn't get the effect. It's like you negated their Poke Power, basically. Now, with something like Feraligatr from Heart Gold Soul Silver, or like Blaster's continuous Poke Powers, like that, where you can do it attached like energies a million times per turn, it didn't work. But for everything else, this card was great. Very powerful. And at the center of it all was Cyrus's Conspiracy. This was another card that just made Pokemon SP. You could search your deck for a supporter card, a basic energy card, and a trainer that has Team Galactic's invention in its name. So basically, this acted like an energy search, which was kind of important. There weren't really a lot of ways to grab energy back then. Well, there was energy search, but like really good ways. A Team Galactic's invention, so this acted like a Skyla as well. You get one of those busted, tools or Team Galactic invention cards, I guess. They weren't all tools. And you also grab a supporter card, so you're ready to go for next turn. This was a staple in SP decks. You would play like pretty much 4 in this, and in other decks that had a big SP skeleton, because SP, they were so good, you could just make like skeletons using SP and stuff. Maybe you'd run a 3, but for the most part, everybody would run 4 of this card. Pretty standard. It was so good. You grab any of the busted Team Galactic inventions, and these are basically what made SP good. Of course, there were other things. It's not like they didn't have powerful Lv.X's like the ones here, but it was basically because of this. They were basic Pokemon. They were easy to use. They could use things like Poke Turn, SP Radar, SP Energy Gain, and not SP Radar, to attack quick. Power Spray would negate your opponent's powers, and they were just all around great. Now, this is a very big reason why I think this is one of the strongest sets ever, because it introduced the SP engine, and it really is the first SP set. Luxray isn't here, Luxray GL, and Luxray GL Lv.X isn't here, and Garchomp isn't here either. But the thing is, this set just has so many, it's such a rich set with so many amazing cards. We're going to look at them one by one. I could be here all day. So we got Ampharos, this Pokemon. Each Pokemon that has any damage counters on it can't use any Poke Powers. So obviously you can see this is good. This was used with an Abomasnow deck, with a Abomasnow from Stormfront. And there was a guy that topped doing a sort of paralysis combo and using this Pokebody. It was quite strong. It was cool. I don't really remember exactly. This was a long time ago. I don't remember the details, but I know this card topped. And you can see it's pretty good. Reflect Energy, 70 for 3. It was double colorless compatible when that was released. And you move an energy from Ampharos to one of your bench Pokemon. So you conserve energy. You could save that DCE, put it to Abomasnow maybe. So first card, card, good already. Then we got Blaziken. This was another cool card. Uh, this didn't exactly like win tournaments and things, but you could use this with Blaziken, FB, Frontier Brain, another SP type of Pokemon from the Frontier Brains in Platinum, and you would use his Pokeball power, burn, instant burn the opponent, the active Pokemon, and then all of a sudden Blaziken FB does 40 more damage. That was pretty cool. His attacks are decent too. Clutch, 40 for 2, your opponent can't retreat, and Fire Spin. Once you get going, you put 3 Fire Energy. Does 100. If you put an Expert Belt or something on, it can knock out SP Pokemon in one hit, like big guys like Garchomp, C, and Luxray. Another cool Pokemon. Then we got Delcatty. This is basically you'd use it with Salamence from Arceus. It was necessary for that combo to work. But it's a cool card, it does more damage for the damage counters from Delcatty, and then you heal it. And the Poke Power stacks energies on top of your deck for Arceus. Then we got Dialga G, oh boy. So this guy was very big. So an SP Pokemon from Cyrus. This obviously gets all of the benefits from the SP engine. So for example, second strike, it's going to do 2 for 50, and if your opponent has 2 damage counters on, it's 2 for 70. And that's quite solid, to be honest. Uh, Not only that, the biggest thing of this Pokemon would definitely be Deafen. This was basically like your lock attack. You do this, it does 10 damage, and your opponent can't play trainer cards or stadium cards. So this is items for that format. Uh, for today's it will be items, so it doesn't block supporters. But blocking all the trainers, man, and stadiums too, it's pretty tough. This Pokemon had a good HP, 100 HP. Same with Palkia. Resistance to Psychic. You get all the benefits of SP. They were pretty good. And this Pokemon was very consistent. It wasn't on the level of Luxray, but it actually lasted as long as like that guy lasted. Dialga Garchomp was probably the second best SP deck. It remained on the top, and it was a great counter to Vileplume Gengar when that combo became a deck. We got Gardevoir. By no means this is like Gardevoir GX level, but this was quite powerful too. Energy Burst, 20 damage plus 10 damage for each energy attached to Gardevoir and the defending Pokemon. So this wasn't that hot back then, to be honest. It probably should have been hot, but back then, really the best attackers attacked with either one energy or no energy, or you had Garchomp that attacked with DCE and then discarded the DC, so it had no energy. So this card, wasn't that amazing. And I suppose a Pokemon that did use a lot of energy, like Dialga, uh, maybe when you put like 3 to 4 to do Dialga's level X's attack, well, that guy had a resistance to you, and well, all the metal energy, special metal energies blocking damage too. Yeah, you weren't gonna do much. But there's a very good Pokemon, has a power too that lets you move psychic energies. It's great. Giratina, another good Pokemon. This was used kind of like a tech in, I believe, Sableye decks. What does it do? When you play Giratina, yeah, each player shovels his or her hand to the deck and draws up to 4 cards. Right. Manectric. This was basically your only way to prevent bench damage. It was a stage 1 Pokemon, but, it was cool. Power Wave is also a solid attack, even though spread wasn't that amazing. We already talked about Palkia. You got the Shamans as well. You got Slacking, not that great, but I do have a deck with this guy, to be honest. But we're going to talk about the best cards, of course, and Weavile is also one of them. This was a call for family for basic SP Pokemon. Didn't cost anything. This was a great searcher, especially in the beginning. You use this. This is one of another kind of, I guess, alternative method to perhaps running a lot of call energies. Maybe you ran more of this guy. And, in dark decks, you also had, if you had darkness energies in your deck and it was a dark SP deck, he was actually kind of cool. He could attack as well. If you had a lot of SP Pokemon, you could do upwards to like 50, 60 damage for 2. Not bad. Basic Pokemon. So many good cards, man. Blissey. This was another great card. You ditched the card from your hand and you healed. Tech Pokemon, but was good. We got Empoleon. Okay, this wasn't that great, but he can do a snipe for 70. Infernape. Kind of a gimmick, but he could do a lot of damage. But you got Bronzong G. This was a tech. Let you move energies to your SP Pokemon. This was another like stable card in SP decks. And Crobat G, another SP staple. This was so good, it was used in non-SP decks. It was basically like you play this from your hand and it acted like a plus power, basically. You would use maybe a bunch of poker turns, You do this a couple of times and you soften up Pokemon for one-shot kills. It was really great. Uh, this was like used forever in Dex. Cario, this guy's kind of cool. Basically 1 for 40 with the 10 damage to bench Pokemon and do the wave. If you have a lot of bench Pokemon, you can do a lot of damage. Pretty good. So yeah, this set is just filled with amazing Pokemon, and it was such a rich set, honestly, that even though it doesn't have the best SP Pokemon, Garchomp and even Blaziken and Luxray, it's just the best out of all of them, I have to say. Honchkrow, this was also used in Sableye. Honcho's command, you grab a bunch of cards, and target attack could also be kind of cool. Very, very, very good. Very good indeed. And you got Shuppet. This was another deck that was a thing. Shuppet had an attack that you return it and all cards to your hand. So what you would do is, with Fade Out, did 30, you would use all the plus powers, all of the, expert belt, attach an expert belt, and all these add-ons to do shitloads of damage, and then you get all the shit back, and you can do it again. Not that amazing of a deck. It didn't really last long with Trainer Lock. It was an auto loss, but it did stuff. Shop it. Got the broken time space. The thing is about this set that it makes it so amazing is it's rich with Pokemon and rich with amazing trainer cards besides the fucking SP engine. So for example, this was another very, very big card. Uh, Basically think of Forest of Giant Plants if you're familiar with that card that got banned. This card does the same thing, but not just for grass Pokemon, for everything. Each player may evolve Pokemon that he just played during that turn. Now, of course, Rare Candy back then was a lot more powerful. It could be used to, you know, instantly get Stage 1 or Stage 2 Pokemon in play, whether it was the first turn you play them or not. And it was great, to be honest. I really wish it was like that still. But uh, this card was also very good because it was a stadium, so sometimes when there was trainer lock, you couldn't use Rare Candy. You had this, you played a bunch of stage 1 Pokemon as well. We will play like at least 2 back then, to be honest. Even like 3, 2 to 3. Maybe some people played 1. I understand that, but because of this card and Rare Candy, it was just easy to tech like stage 2 lines in decks. Like Gardevoir from Secret Wonders would be like a tech stage 2 Pokemon. You would just run a line like that. Things like Machamp and what else? What else? Other Pokemon. Well, anything basically. Maybe like a Zam. That wasn't that good, but I already talked about Sars' Conspiracy. Galactic HQ is kind of a solid card. And Memory Berry. Oh yeah. So this card opened up a lot of combos. You needed this if you were going to do the, basic Pokemon Rage Flail strategies from Slackoth and Bacon, and other Pokemon like Fanfy for Donphan maybe. Wasn't that necessary, but it comes to mind. I can't think of other Pokemon with Flail and Rage, but you could do this. There's plus power 2, Pokedex reprint. Pokemon Rescue is basically Pokemon Stretcher, original version, very good. You got the Fossils, Rainbow Energy, not an original card, but there's a bunch of good cards here, reprints anyway. So I suppose I have to talk about the level X's no matter what. It's crucial. So, like I've said, this set might not have Luxray and Garchomp, but it has like big guys, no doubt. Dialga level X. This was probably the most consistent uh, SP Pokemon besides Luxray and Garchomp. The Pokebody, Time Crystal, it was basically everybody didn't have Pokebodies except SP Pokemon, pretty much. So it blocked a lot of shit, and remove Lost uh, was a 4 for 80 attack. Naturally, it would be 3 for 80 for if you had SP, if you had energy gain on, and you flip a coin. For each heads, remove an energy attached to defending Pokemon, put in the Lost Zone. Could come up, but really, what you would do with this guy is since he was metal, you would put a bunch of special metal energies, and in conjunction with cards like Snowpoint Temple, maybe Expert Belt if you wanted to put that thing on, you know, this Pokemon will become like a fucking wall. It would be like a 160 HP basic Pokemon, pretty much, that would decrease damage with special metal energies on, and it was very difficult to kill in one hit. Pretty much the only thing that could kill this thing in one hit that was relevant was Blaziken FB. Because that guy did a lot of damage for one energy. It could do 80 damage with one energy, basically. Uh, no matter what Dialga did, it could knock it out in one hit, pretty much. It was very difficult for it to survive against Blaziken FB. But besides, that guy and just fire Pokemon that could do like that sort of damage in general, uh, you were not knocking this thing out in one hit. And you probably take a couple of hits, to be honest. And then you just play Garchomp Lv.X and you heal all damage. It was a powerful combo. Of course, you always have Poke Turn as well. Yeah, this guy wouldn't die. So he was very good. And like I've said, he made a great counter to Gengar later on with Vileplume. So another big Pokemon it was very, very hot in the beginning, but it kind of lost its touch later on. Palkia Lv.X. So I believe the guy that really made this deck work was Ross Cotton. Yeah, you probably know him. He's a very influential player, makes a lot of creative decks, and wins and tops with them. Probably well, not probably, he is one of the best players in the world, uh, for sure. His credentials speak for itself. Ah, man, I can't even talk. His credentials speak for themselves, right? But if I'm not mistaken, he was the guy that really made this deck work. So basically, Palkia J, Poke Power, Lost Cyclone. You would use this power. So any player that had 4 or more bench Pokemon had to get rid of Pokemon until they had like I think 4 or more. Yeah, choose one of his 3 bench Pokemon. Yeah. Oh yeah. So basically the limit was 3. Yeah. I was trying to figure it out because I don't exactly remember. I was thinking like, was the limit like 2? There's no way. So yeah, the limit is 3. So if you had like 5 bench Pokemon, you would get rid of them until you had 3. And you both did this, and you were mess with your opponent, but at the same time, there was a combo you did with this guy. You would play like Mesprit and Uxie from Legends Awakened. Uxie lets you draw a lot of cards. Pretty much like uh, X when you play it down. But we didn't have Ultra Ball and stuff like that back then. So Even though it was a great card, it wasn't, I guess, maybe on the level of Shaman, but maybe it could have been if people played differently back then. But you know, you use that card, you grabbed a bunch of cards, and then you got rid of all of these Pokemon that took space from your bench, and you could play the other guys. And Mesprit, that block powers for your opponent. So you will play that thing down, block your opponent's powers. Then next turn, you would get rid of them with Palkia, play another one, and keep blocking your opponent's powers. And it was basically Palkia Lock. The deck was called Power Lock. And I've already told you guys, Palkia G, the uh, basic Pokemon, is a solid Pokemon, doing 50 for 2, and it could also spread. And Hydro Shot was also a good attack. But the thing is, this Pokemon got outclassed uh, by Garchomp later on. Could basically do the same attack with only 1 DCE. And the biggest reason this guy like couldn't really last is because Luxray Lv.X killed this guy in one hit, basically. You couldn't do anything really to survive. Even if you put an expert bet on or something to try to not get knocked out in one hit, they were Crobats, and then you would give up 2 prizes. It was just, he couldn't survive against that guy. Uh, the deck was very good though. It was like a top deck in its format. There was no competition for it pretty much. And later on, it remained a good tier 2 deck. Uh, that's pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else. When Gengar Prime came out, people thought they could use this as a sort of a last touch for Gengar Lv.X and the Stadium Lost World, but it wasn't that great. Uh, but either way, this was a very good Pokemon, very cool. I like it very much, to be honest. But yeah, these were the 2 big Lv.X's from this set. Giratina Lv.X. This Pokemon, it wasn't bad, but it didn't make the cut, to be honest. It's good. It can do some shit where your opponent has to discard a card to attack. And you could also do disruption strategies and lock strategies with this, kind of fuck with your opponent. And the other 2 guys that are really cool would be the Shamans. This one gives 40 more HP to grass Pokemon. You can use more than one of this Pokebody, but you do this, maybe you use a bunch of Cherim, that the defensive one that gives you more defense, decreases damage, and you could do shit. This wasn't exactly like a super deck, but it was kind of tier 2 maybe. And this guy as well, the offensive one, did a lot more damage if your Pokemon got knocked out the previous turn. So very solid cards. They were very solid cards as well. But yeah, the big Lv.X were Dialga and Palkia for sure. And I guess if you want proof that this set is like a power set, they reprinted Electabuzz, Hitmonchan, and Cypher, Haymaker style. These cards are basically like same stats, basically same Pokemon from base set and jungle respectively as secret rares. And I actually have like I have two, yeah, I have Scyther and Hitmonchan and not Electabuzz. And the secret rares, very beautiful. I have Swablu and Vulpix. Swablu I got in a pack. This I actually had to buy. But I don't know how long I've been ranting, but there's, unlike sets like Secret Wonders where there were like a couple of cards, Guardy Gallet and shit, all of these cards, there's so many more cards. Like maybe I could talk about Benetti. I could even talk about like Slacking and the Shamans, but even Rampardos. There's just like, this set is rich, a complete ass set, fuckloads of amazing cards, brought the SP engine, what was really what started the whole SP shit, and hell of a power set, really. Now, I'm not gonna put it on the level with Stormfront, but maybe I could even do that. It's very strong. As far as fourth generation sets go, it's one of the strongest. It doesn't really seem like it, to be honest. A lot of people don't really see it that way. I mean, people mostly remember the shit from Supreme Victors and Rising Rivals because it had arguably the best, SP Pokemon, like standalone guys. But this set is just like a complete ass set that kind of people take for granted. But anyways, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys subscribe, leave a like, share this with your friends if they want to learn about old shit. I'm pretty sure I gave pretty concise descriptions, and you could get a very good idea about the metagame from a lot of the things I've said. I think things were much different back then, and you guys know a little bit about the strategies, a little bit about the best cards. Crobat here was one of the best cards. And yeah, it's been Saberwolf94. What's up?